Welcome again, folks. I hope you are enjoying our episode so far. This Ryan again, and I brought you a new episode of Mysterious Crimes. Lock your doors, dim the lights, because this is real unsolved crimes, and tonight, we step into the nightmare that was Villisca, Iowa, 1912. A quiet town. A peaceful home. And a massacre so brutal, so inexplicable, that it would haunt America for over a century. 8 victims. A blood-stained axe. And a killer who vanished into the night, never to be found. Who committed this unspeakable crime? Was it a drifter? A madman? Or someone much closer than anyone dared to imagine? Tonight, we unravel the chilling case of the Villisca axe murders. The nightmare begins June 9, 1912. The town of Villisca, Iowa, was settling in for the night. The Moore family, Josiah and Sarah, along with their 4 children, had spent the evening at church, attending a children's program. With them were 2 young guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger, friends of the Moore children who had decided to stay the night. At approximately 10 p.m., the lamps in the Moore household were extinguished. The family retired to their beds, unaware that they would never wake again. Sometime in the dead of night, a shadow moved through the house. The front door creaked open. Silent footsteps crept across the wooden floorboards. Then, the first strike. Josiah Moore took the first blow. Then another. And another. The weapon, a heavy, blood-stained axe, was wielded with terrifying precision. His skull shattered under the force. Sarah was next. And then, one by one, the children. Each victim struck multiple times, their faces left unrecognizable. Finally, the Stillinger sisters, murdered in their borrowed beds. By sunrise, the house was silent. 8 people lay dead. And the killer? Gone, without a trace. The discovery the following morning, a neighbor grew concerned. The Moore family had not emerged. No sounds came from the house. She knocked. No answer. She called. Silence. Finally, she called Josiah's brother, who arrived with a spare key. What he found inside would remain etched in his mind forever. The house was steeped in darkness, the shades drawn. And then, the smell. Thick. Heavy. The unmistakable stench of death. The first thing he saw was blood. Splattered on the walls. Soaking the beds. Pooled beneath the bodies. The sheriff was called. The town gathered. And the whispers began. Who could have done this? And why? A town in fear panic gripped Villisca. A murderer had walked among them, silent, unseen, and seemingly unstoppable. Doors were bolted. Guns were kept within reach. Children were forbidden from playing outside after dark. But fear quickly turned to suspicion. Accusations flew. Neighbors eyed each other with distrust. The investigation began. And the deeper the authorities dug, the more disturbing the case became. Who had the strength, the rage, to commit such a crime? And why had the murderer covered every mirror in the house? Why had they lingered long enough to prepare a meal but not eat it? Theories and suspects. Over the years, many theories have emerged. Some believe the killer was a transient, someone who rode the trains, choosing victims at random. Others suspect Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher who had attended the church service that night and left town suspiciously soon after. And then there's the theory of the serial killer. Similar axe murders had been reported across the Midwest. Could the Villisca killer have been responsible for more? Evidence was circumstantial. Witness statements conflicted. The case grew colder by the year. And yet, one question remains. Did the murderer escape justice? Or had they simply never been suspected at all? A house of horrors today, the Moore house still stands. It has become one of the most infamous haunted locations in America. Visitors report hearing whispers, Seeing shadows move. Feeling an oppressive presence lingering in the rooms where the murders took place. Some say the spirits of the victims still cry out for justice. Others believe the house is cursed, forever tainted by the horror within its walls. But one thing is certain, the Villisca axe murders remain one of the most terrifying unsolved crimes in American history. And the killer? They are long gone. But their crime, their legacy, will never be forgotten. A quiet town. A shattered family. A mystery that will never rest. Who do you think committed the Villisca axe murders? Could the truth still be out there waiting to be uncovered? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Real Unsolved Crimes for more mysterious crimes and chilling tales. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.